Awesome. Okay. Hey, so we are answering the question, what do you think motivates churches to stay with that within the 5%, 10%, and 85% division within youth groups, within the congregation, and then spiritual learning at home? And Kyle is going to kick us off.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of churches, it makes youth ministry look good to have big youth events, to bring people into the doors and have these concerts or whatever. It just makes the youth ministry look really good if you have things going on all the time for youth ministries. And so it gives the youth minister a job to do, planning events and inviting kids and encouraging youth to invite their friends and all those kind of things, which are they're good. But when you really emphasize that, people can point to it, and especially the pastor, he might be able to look at it and say, well, like, our youth ministry is doing this and this and this, and look how great it is. So that's what I think why churches do that.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think a lot of the mentality with our approach to churches is we go there to be ministered to, and we see it as a place where we can just connect with other people, especially similar to our own age and our demographic, because that is where we share a lot of the same struggles and needs. And I definitely think that's legitimate. But I think that focusing too much on that and not being also in a serving role, that is what contributes to this really skewed division. And one really specific thing we discussed was how parents, especially nowadays, can have a very like a dry cleaner approach. So they say that, oh, like people go to seminary and school and get training just for this sort of thing, and I'll do my own thing, and I pay my tithes and they get paid for this sort of thing. So I'll just drop my kids off and let them do their thing, and then I'll either go to my own discipleship thing or maybe even not that. So that's something I discussed today.
All right. So so I think with this just with this question, I think a lot of churches cater to this model with the 85% more and more cater to youth, because like I think the church, in order to have a strong, stable church, you need a strong, stable youth group. So, and I think that the parent model, most parents are going to they're going to go to a church based on a strong youth ministry because they want their kids to be involved. They want their kids to stay off the streets and get involved in the church. And so what better way to do that is to go to a church that has a strong, stable youth ministry. So I think that's pretty much that's probably the big one, is just making sure, that the church is opening up opportunities to allow the kids just to grow together, serve together.
Sweet. And for me, something that I mentioned today, well, this actually I may not have mentioned as clearly, but part of it's just tradition. It's been working, so why would we change what's working? That's like a big one. You just kind of get comfortable with what you're doing, and it's just too much work. But I think something that all of us have mentioned is just the whole parents abdicating their roles. So what we know from class is that intergenerational is so important to teens, but this is also a very hard season for parents because this is the time where their kid no longer wants to interact with them. And so if it's just easier to drop my child off and not have to deal with their attitude, that's what they're going to do. So they're abdicating their role of spiritual leadership. And if the parents are doing that, why would the congregation want to do that as well? Like if the parents don't want to hang out with their kids, why would a random stranger feel like they can and should if they're not part of the staff? So I think just the ease of this is what we've we've been doing and the fact that teens can be pretty difficult to interact with are really huge parts in why that division hasn't changed. So that's what we talked about. We also came up with a lot of cool ideas of how we can change that and what we've seen in our own lives and how those different actions have impacted us and all the ways that we can hopefully help our churches change this kind of division that isn't great. And I'm excited just to see how each of us impacts our churches. So that's all we have. And thank you so much for listening.